I know you guys have been waiting for this just as long as I have, but it's finally time to take a deeper look into Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So, let's take a look and find out if it's really worth that hefty $70 price tag. Oh, and one more thing. Welcome to the night shift. Let's get you guys clocked in. How's it going, everybody? It is I, your one and only shift leader Logan, and it's finally time to do this. I played this game non-stop for you guys, and we're getting right into this. So, if you hadn't figured it out, we're reviewing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the newest game in the Ratchet and Clank series. If you haven't joined us for any of our reviews before, what we do here is just like any review. It's a very opinionated review, and we'll grade this game in particular on a 4-point scale. We'll go over, I guess I shouldn't say 4-point scale, I should say 4 categories scale. Sorry, my bad. We'll go over story, gameplay, audios and visuals, and then any bugs or issues that we came across the way as we played. Obviously, that last category will determine whether or not we deduct points, not add points. So, and just to clarify, since I said the point thing, it's through a 1 to 10 point scale. I mean, it could get a 0, but it's not going to. That all being said, I'm not going to mince words, guys. This game was absolutely a blast. I heavily enjoyed this. I was an OG original Ratchet and Clank, geez, if I can speak, fan. I loved the old games. They were snarky, they were fun, and it was something that you played just to have fun and see the weird things, mess around with the weird guns, and this is almost like a blast from the past. It's a completely different game from what we got from the 2016 Ratchet and Clank. But that all being said, let's get right into our categories. So, story. This game is heavy on story. I'm gonna be honest, I never did actually get to play all of the Ratchet and Clank games. So, perfect chance for you guys to educate me as your reviewer. I wanted to give you guys a shot for it. But as far as I was aware, there wasn't much lore to the Lombaxes like they were. Like, I know from the original game and the sequel, I don't remember them talking too much about the Lombaxes, but this game is heavy in the Lombaxes and where Ratchet's people comes from and the Dimensionator and why Ratchet even has that to begin with. And it was different for me. I wasn't expecting that, but coming in and having that, it was really fun. It kept driving me to want to play because it was interesting. It was a mystery that I wanted to get more and more information on. So, high remarks on that. Not to mention, you now also have a parallel story. You have Ratchet's story playing on, while you now have your other playable character, Rivet, and her story. And it was really cool because they're in completely different places. Ratchet's an established hero. Ratchet wins non-stop all the time, and he knows what he needs to do. Whereas Rivet, she's more of an inexperienced heroine, you know, but she's basically, as they explained it in the game, she's basically Ratchet's like parallel universe counterpart, and it's really interesting to see all that. unfold. But that all being said, there's tons of lore. I mean, not even just including the story, but like there are, they call them lorbs, but they're orbs that the Lombaxes left that give you little snippets of information. There are spy bots that you can collect that give you information on this parallel world with Emperor Nefarious, and there's other things that you can do to find out more about the world that you're in, and it just makes it so immersive, and it's really fun. So, all that being said, where does the story land? And I'm gonna have to say a solid, at least an 8. I can't see it scoring less than an 8 on story. It's really good, and it's really enticing. There are a few things I wish that were resolved by the end, which, yes, obviously, I think I mentioned it, but just to be doubly sure that I did mention it, time-wise, where I'm at on it, I have actually completed the game. I've seen the end. There may be secret endings. I'm not sure. I have to do some more digging on that. But as it stands right now, I've completed the game and gotten a ending. And as the ending stands right now, I'm not necessarily too fulfilled. I'm not going to spoil anything because I want you guys to be able to enjoy the game, without any kind of spoilers. But it really honestly left me a little like, I get what you were trying to do, but I wish there was just even a hair more, and I would have been way more happy. But c'est la vie, right? So go on to gameplay, and I think this is a really interesting category because they use the same mechanic for Ratchet and Clank 2016, that game, and there was nothing wrong with that mechanic. It functioned really well. Ratchet and Clank 2016 played like a Ratchet and Clank game. It just was struggling in terms of being tied to a movie, and this game doesn't have that. But turn around and Insomniac going in and going, it may have worked in the past, but we feel like the characters are limited, so let's add a few things to make them more mobile. Let's add more guns. Let's add different like ways to use those guns. They went above and beyond what I could have expected from them to make this game even more interesting than it already was. Like I said, when it comes to the mobility, they added a dash feature, which I'm always a fan of a dash feature. Love dashing. But they've added that. They've added wall running. They've added an actual sprint mechanic. They've, added different mobility options for these characters in these more open-like worlds. Jet boots and stuff like that. It's just so cool. And it makes the game feel newer than it would if those weren't there. Not to mention all the other little things that they added. Like I said, this is a PlayStation 5 game, so you've got your haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. The haptic feedback is always fantastic. I do love how localized that is to where the things are on the screen. That's always interesting to me. But then the adaptive triggers, I feel like, and this is my personal opinion, I feel like Ratchet and Clank use the adaptive triggers better than Returnal. I said it. I'm not taking it back. Sorry, I'm not. Returnal's issue for me was when I go to aim down the sights, I want to aim quickly. Like, I'm just going to click the button quickly. It's what I've been trained to do. And it's been embedded in my brain. And so it was difficult for me to adapt to that. Whereas Here, the game uses your trigger finger. And I know a lot of you might say, well, how is that any different? Well, I'll explain because I feel like that's important. For me, a lot of games, when I play any kind of shooter game, I usually tend to pick and choose my shots a lot more than I do like in a sword game. I usually kind of wait because I usually main like a long range kind of character, and so I don't always press the trigger. Sometimes my fingers resting on it or barely pushing on it. And so for me, for the alternate things that these things do, to be partial pulls or you know, whatever, it felt more natural to me, and I feel like that was a better way to use those triggers than attaching it to the aim down sights. Not to say that that's a bad move on Returnal's part, I just feel like this was better. Now, moving on from that, obviously, as you can see on the screen, the upgrade system's back. You use the Raritanium. You can purchase weapons, and guys, it's so Ratchet and Clank like it used to be. And I can attest that if you're a person that's not sure about upgrading weapons, do it, because I'm telling you right now, the guns from when I first got them to when I fully upgraded them, holy cow, were they way better. So, but you have those systems. Your characters do share weapons, and I think they share ammo. I'm pretty sure. But there are moments in the game where they basically kind of give you a bone and they refill your ammo for you. So, but bear that in mind. So once you buy a weapon once, you're good to go. You don't have to buy it for the other character. So, honestly, I don't know what else there really is to say, because I'm sure a lot of you that are watching are Ratchet and Clank fans. So you know how a Ratchet and Clank game feels. You know how it plays. And I'll be honest, it plays exactly like that. The only difference is that they've added more mobility for you. So that what happened in 2016's Ratchet and Clank, where people felt like they didn't have a lot of options to like get away or avoid getting hit from enemies, doesn't necessarily happen this time. And I say that because I've seen some people complain about that, but I also know that it's more of a generational, I think, deal, where it's like people are just used to dash mechanics. People are used to different mobility now, and so going back to limited mobility isn't necessarily their thing. But all that aside, I really do enjoy the gameplay of this game. It's so fun. It's enjoyable. The gold nuts are still there, so you still get all the wonky cool stuff. And I mean, some of the stuff you can get really cool things. Another cool gameplay mechanic that makes a return, actually, is you have armor sets. You can equip armor for your characters. And to top it off, one thing that I felt was really, really cool was that if I like this armor set, but I hate the color scheme, you have color options. You don't have to stick with that color. You can pick a different color option. So your heroes, your Ratchet, your Rivet, are yours and yours alone. You can customize them to your heart's content. Me, I'm an OG person. I when a character is presented to me a certain way, that's how I like to have them. Now, if it is a like customize your character at the beginning, then I kind of tend to change it up a lot. But as it sits, guys, the gameplay is super fun. It's super fluid. I can't stress it enough. It's a fun game to play. So I'm going to give gameplay alone a 9. It's that good, I think. It was fun, it was refreshing, and I just couldn't put the game down. So, that being said, our last category before we get into bugs and glitches to see if we take any points away is audios and visuals. And, guys, this is a PlayStation 5 game. You know, it is clearly going to, be on the high end. And I feel like this game succeeds in a lot of ways. And I love it. Because as you just saw right there, that pocket dimension, when you go through the portals, you're instantly in a different location. That happens constantly throughout this game. You can teleport to different locations. You can, you'll be forcibly teleported to different locations. There are pocket dimensions that take you to different worlds that you're not currently on. That happens, and it is insane to me to watch that and go, holy cow. I'm in a completely different world. I didn't have to load. Wow. And not to mention, just all the characters have super insane detail. As you kind of saw there, I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of some of the fur, how it looks a little bit. Some of it looks a little possibly glitchy, but I would assume that that'll be fixed in a later update, to kind of touch some things up. But most of it, and a lot of the time, visually this game is stunning. It's bright colors, it's vibrant, it's fun, it's whimsical, and every world feels immensely different. I never went to a world and went, oh, I'm at a different place, but it looks exactly like the world I just came from. Every world's different, and that's okay. So that's visuals. I think the gameplay here speaks for itself. As for audio, this comes at me. Music, all bangers. I mean, they are freaking fantastic. I couldn't ask for better music. It enhances the gameplay immensely. But then turn around and you have voice actors and all these different characters that really just set the stage and make the game shine, I think, in my personal opinion. Because I'm coming off of 2016 Ratchet and Clank, where every character encounter felt scripted, every character encounter felt weird, whereas this one, everyone has personalities, everyone feels organically like talking to each other, and it's nice. It really genuinely is fun. There are whimsical different characters that you'll fall in love with, you'll laugh, and you'll enjoy it, and that's all comes down to the voice acting, and I think they've done a fantastic job of that in this game. So audios and visuals, what it comes down to is where am I going to get this, and I think because it's such a huge jump from the last game, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. So then we jump to bugs and glitches. Like I said, I feel like the fur is a slight issue, but it's not a game-breaking issue. It's just a visual thing, and it's usually just on those morts that you saw. And I think the only other time I saw anything was at the very beginning of the game, where I'm in a cutscene and somebody was running away from danger behind me and they just kept running into a wall. But that's a funny glitch, and I feel like people get all upset about that stuff, but it's just a character in the background. It's not like you can do anything with them anyways, and it's funny. So, am I deducting points for glitches and bugs? Nope. I think this game came out very polished. I think they could polish a few things up a little bit more, but all in all, it's a very solid game. So, all that being said, we have an 8, a 9, and a 9. So we have an 8.5 for Ratchet and Clank. And I think that solidly depicts how I feel about this game, because I do love this game. It's a fun game. It's enjoyable. I couldn't stop playing it. However, there was one thing that ate at me a lot, and I don't want to trash on the game. I never want to trash on the game, because I know every game has fans. But it bothered me enough that I felt like I needed to tell you guys about it. And that's, overall, I believe the story of Ratchet and Clank, this Ratchet and Clank anyways, it's roughly in the 8 to 10 hour mark. I mean, and I say that because I didn't really just mainline it, but I did side quests, I did other things. I pretty much almost 100% most worlds, and I finished this within a day or two. You know, yeah, it's probably around that 8 to 10 hour completion mark, and that's just for your casual gamer. I mean, if you mainline it, it's probably more like 6. So bear that in mind when thinking about purchasing this, because again, you're looking at a $70 game, and I feel like for such a short campaign might be a little bit of a stretch in terms of price. But that all being said, if you are a diehard Ratchet and Clank fan, you are going to love this game, so be sure to check it out. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below. Let me know if there was more lore in the previous Ratchet and Clank games that I just missed. Maybe I'm going to have to do a, dust off my old PlayStation 2 or something and take a look at some of the older Ratchet and Clank games again. I don't know. You guys are going to have to let me know. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. It's been a while. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.